This is the Cafe Racer Podcast, episode 86 for January 16th, 2016. I'm Steven.
And I'm Crash. All right. How's it going?
It's going good. Somebody must have grabbed the record player on that one.
Yes.
Yeah. No, it's going good. Was putting away stuff in the attic, Christmas tree stuff in the attic. For us, that's 9 million giant boxes. So
yeah, we got off to a little late start, and since the kids are occupying the table I usually record at, I'm in the bedroom on the phone.
And surprisingly, it looks pretty good.
Yeah, I actually thought, like, when we were planning and we were getting ready, I was like, wait a minute, Spencer looked really good on his phone. It sounded really good when he just called in. Maybe that'll work.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you right now, next show I'm gonna have Spencer on with one of the guys that is going on the first ride up the divide, one of the new riders. So
Awesome.
He'll be our guest for next show.
Yeah, that's exciting. I really want to talk to that guy.
Yeah. They're a couple of characters, these guys, so it should be kind of interesting. So I got a haircut yesterday, and look at all the blonde highlights that came out.
Is that what those are?
Yeah. I never saw the guy actually put them in my hair, but when I got my haircut, I came out and I'm like, wow, look at all this blonde I got going on here. Must be from the sun. So what have you been doing? Anything good? You been on the bike? Have you actually ridden your motorcycle?
I rode it to work the other day. It was the first time in a little while. It's been rainy here, and I had it under that cover, so I guess I can talk about that cover some. I don't think we have on the show at all.
No, a little refresher. Twisted Throttle sent Crash an RNG motorcycle cover.
Yeah, so thanks to going to AIM Expo and talking to people, they were like, oh yeah, we'll send you one, you can talk about it, whatever. So I got the cover about a month ago or so, and it's a really solid cover. I like it a lot. It doesn't have it doesn't feel too heavy, but it feels really strong. Like the fabric feels really sturdy.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it fits nicely. The bike still has the saddlebags on it, and the bar end mirrors, don't really fold in. And it still fits. It makes my bike look huge, though. Like when it's under the cover, for some reason, it looks gigantic. And then you take the cover off, and there's this little Bonneville underneath it. But it's been rained on, a bunch of times. The bike stayed nice and dry. No complaints there. The material's good. It's not scratching up the bike or anything. I don't know if it's the new paint job color or what, but or if maybe just a bird moved in. But the past couple times I've had the bike uncovered, I've noticed a bird sitting on one of my handlebars and taking a crap on my front fender. And I don't know what it is. Like, I don't know if he just like moved into a bush nearby or something and likes to hang out there, or because I don't know. My dad had a truck that was a similar color to my bike, and it got crapped on all the time. And my mom's car, sitting right next to it, would never get crapped on, and there wasn't like a tree above them that wasn't above the other car. It was just, I don't know.
I'll tell you a funny story. Firefighters being what we are, we like to have fun with people. And there was a station that I was at for years that had a hose tower in the back, which is this 2-story high tower where you hang cotton jacketed hose to dry after you're done using it. And always had pigeons in it. You always, you knew not to park next to this hose tower because you'd get pigeon crap all over your car. Well, at the time we had 2 county medics stationed in that station, and one of the guys didn't know any better. And, he came out and there's pigeon crap on the hood. And we're like, dude, you can't park your car there. So he moved the car. Well, and he went out and, cleaned the pigeon crap off. One of the guys mixed up a batch of flour and water, and every chance he had, he'd go out there and drip this mixture on the guy's car. No matter where the guy parked in the parking lot, he would go out and drip, fake pigeon poo on the guy's car, to the point where the guy was just convinced that the pigeons hated him.
Nice.
But, it probably is the color of the bike, and either that or the bird's going, oh, thank God the bathroom's open. He sees you take the cover off, and
yeah,
like, oh, I got to go so bad.
It's been holding it all day.
How's the covered material? Is it packable? Is this something you could throw in like a backpack and take it to work? Or is it a little too big for that?
It's kind of on the borderline. Like it packs down. It came in when I got it. It came in like a little zipper plastic bag, kind of like you get like a comforter in.
Mm-hmm.
Only not nearly as bulky. It was in probably 2.5 or 3 inches thick package. And when I fold it up, if I can get most of the air out of it, it packs up small enough that I could stuff it in a saddlebag,
Right.
but it would take up like the whole saddlebag.
Yeah, that's well, the other cover that we'd had from the other company was bigger than that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
When you sent that thing to me, that was in like I swear it was in like a 4 cubic foot box.
Yeah, big. In all fairness, too, I think wasn't it for like a Goldwing size bike?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was a bigger cover. But R&G also makes a cover that's lighter duty and smaller too, that I think is made for like garage use.
Yeah.
Like a dust cover, because that's what I have. I have a really inexpensive off-brand cover on the Le Mans in the garage that's not made for outside. It's just keeping dust off. It would be similar to taking a bed sheet and throwing it over the bike. It's just fitted and a little bit nicer.
Yeah.
Things working out for you.
There's like a little motorcycle parking area here where I live, and I had the bike over there for a little while. I usually leave it in the front of my parking spot because there's enough room to get it out anyway. But I had moved it because they were replacing the windows on the building where my parking spot's next to, and it definitely was the best looking bike in a cover over there. There's a few bikes in covers, and they're all in those like silver material strip at the bottom, like, and then thin blue fabric on top. And it just looked like the really cheap feeling stuff. I put my bike over there, put the cover on it, like my bike looks like $1 million in its cover compared to everything else. Like it just looks like, man, the guy that owns that bike really likes his bike.
Does it breathe? Is there condensation under the bike when you come out?
I haven't had condensation under it.
No,
I don't think. It's been tough, like because it's been so wet here in the past few days. Like when I think when I pulled it off, there might have been a little condensation, but I'm not sure. I'll pay attention next time. It's not covered right now because I rode it and then it started raining, and so I wanted to wait till it dried to cover it up.
Yeah, Lisa asked me if you guys were getting any flooding there, and you and I talked, and you said it was worse at the base than where you live.
Yeah, where I live didn't get flooded, but not like 30 minutes away it was. There were people paddleboarding down the street.
It's been raining here a lot. This week it's been crazy. Today's the first day the sun's been out. Hopefully it's going to dry up. It's supposed to be clear all weekend, but I'd like to go for a ride at some point. I had a nice trip last weekend. I went to the polar bear rally in North Florida. I think I posted pictures on Instagram and some stuff on Twitter, but this is a rally that's done by a group out of Jacksonville called CADS, which is Classic Adventure and Dual Sport. And man, what a really nice event they put on. I'll tell you what, it was Friday through Sunday. People actually got there Thursday night. Thursday night, they had kind of a meet and greet. And it was at this place called Golden Head Branch State Park, north of Ocala National Forest, about 30 or 40 minutes north. And great campground. It was an ADV type rally. Everything had to be street legal because they're doing a lot of transitions on the road. So you saw everything there from like 250s up to big adventure bikes. and they had all the rides split up. So they had, your A rides were the guys that were really experienced. And when the guy like was talking about the rides, he goes, if you question whether or not you're an A, you're not an A. These guys were hardcore off-road riders, really experienced, all the way down to a D group. And then they had a street group too.
Nice.
Yeah. And my intention, they also had what they were calling the like kiddies training ride on Saturday that was supposed to be for adventure bikes and teaching you how to ride in sand. So if you've never been to North Florida or Ocala National Forest, it's mostly sand. And there's areas where it's pretty deep. So it's not like you think of a normal forest road that's kind of like a fire road in North Georgia, where it's hard packed, or something out in the west where it's, rock, gravel, dirt, but you can stand on it. This is all sand.
Yeah.
So I got there, we set up on Friday, went by myself and camped next to some really great guys that were from the ADV forum. So pretty much everybody there was on the Adventure Riders forum. Probably about 200 people. It was great. And the couple of the guys, I shared my campground with one of the guys, and he had a 250, and then the guy next to me was on a 690 KTM. Nice. And a lot of people trailered up. They brought their bikes. There were some guys I knew from down here that brought bikes up. So on Friday night, there was a sponsored dinner there, which was, grilled hot dogs, hamburgers type of thing at the campground. We kind of talked, met. It was raining on Friday, off and on. And then Saturday morning, everybody met at like around 8 o'clock. They had a big inflatable polar bear, which I think was not really a polar bear, but the abominable snowman from Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. What was that guy's name?
Yeah, I can't think of his name either.
It was like the guy with the beard, that was like, it ended up being his buddy, but
yeah.
Anyway, and I'll put a picture of that up because it was kind of funny. But they split up into groups, and they had an option for a street ride. And so I'm thinking about it, and one of the guys was like, those tires that you've got are just going to kill you in sand, because I'm running the Continental Trail Attacks. It's what comes on the 1290. Mm-hmm. Everybody's riding knobbies, that's going on this training ride. So I'm like, I think I'm going to do the street ride, just play it safe. Well, thank God that I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when we got back from the street ride, we met one of the guys that said it was chaos on the training ride.
His name's Bumble.
Bumble, that's right, Bumble.
Yeah.
I think this thing's a Bumble. Anyway, a couple guys high-sided. One guy got hurt pretty bad, maybe broke some ribs. It was just
on the training ride.
Training ride, yeah.
I asked you when you told me about it the other day. I was like, man, was this ride put on by Rawhide?
Yeah, it was just...
And nothing against Rawhide, just thinking about when we were at Overland Expo and they had that ride to the Grand Canyon and like one dude cracked his frame.
And one guy got a concussion. Yeah.
Yeah.
Battered and beaten. Right. It was supposed to be a beginning ride, and we're like, yeah, beginning for those guys. But no, it was a lot of fun. The street ride was phenomenal. This guy Bill led us on like 130 miles of the tightest, twistiest, funnest roads I've been on in a long time, and they were in Florida. I was like completely shocked that these roads actually existed.
How far from you are they?
It's about 4 hours from here. 4 hours, no. 4.5. It's not close.
No.
Well, I mean, relatively, it is. If it's closer than going to Georgia or North Carolina.
Yeah, true.
Honestly, it's from my mom's house. It's like a half hour, so I could visit her. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing about that area up there, and the guy kind of told me, he goes, the reason it's like this is all these roads are going around lakes. So there's a bunch of small lakes up there, and these are all border roads. So you just move from one lake to the next doing these roads, and it was a pretty good clip too. Like roads were marked at 40, 45. We were easily riding in upper 70s to 90s. They were
nice.
Yeah. It was fun. It was a good time. And then Saturday night there was a sponsored dinner at one of the guys' house that was catered, and they gave away, the door prizes were phenomenal. They ended up giving away a bunch of really cool stuff from Starbright and Startron, kits and cleaning mitts and fuel additives.
Yeah, they make that like anti-ethanol stuff.
Yeah, I actually use that in the bikes here. Startron I use. And then they gave away a bunch of T-shirts from a couple of local BMW dealers, and it culminated with a Nex helmet, ADV helmet. They also had Climb Badlands jacket and pants that they gave away separately. So if you won the jacket or the pants, you got a certificate to buy the other piece at like a 50% discount.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So that was really nice. But it was, and here's the best thing about it. You know what the cost was? Nothing.
Whoa, really?
Yeah. All you had to do was pay
Nice.
for your wherever you were staying. CAD's put the whole thing on. So I will definitely be there next year.
Yeah, that seems like a lot of fun for little, overhead, like little effort.
No, the only thing that we paid for raffle tickets, which wasn't a big deal, and made a there was a dinner ticket for the second night, which was paid for your raffle ticket. So $15 got you the catered Italian dinner plus your raffle ticket,
Yeah.
which is nothing. And then the night before they were asking for donations, which I think I threw in $15 too for the dinner the night before. But I did I came back from a ride and tried a freeze-dried dinner from Backpackers Pantry,
Hmm.
because I've had Mountain House but never Backpackers Pantry, and I think
Yeah.
Spencer kind of swears by him. It was a beef stroganoff. So the way have you ever used these things before? Like, it's not like a MRE kind of, it's a little
Yeah,
different.
I've seen the Mountain House. I think I've eaten some Mountain House, and I've had like boil in a bag, but I've never.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
what I think I tried the beef stroganoff one, and I ended up, my little Primus stove that I have kind of like took a crap on me,
Yeah.
broke, and I ended up buying a Jetboil. They were on sale.
Hmm.
So I had the Jetboil all packed up, and I had some food packed up because I didn't know what the food situation was going to be like. And honestly, like when I camped in Ocala National Forest, there was nothing close. So I brought a bunch of food, ended up just using the coffee and stuff. But so I make this beef stroganoff. It says boil up how many, whatever cups of water it was, pour it in here, stir real well, close the lid for like 13 minutes, and then it's got 2 servings in there. So I did that, and then I went to go open it up and eat it, and I ended up biting into a compressed ball of seasoning. So it didn't get mixed all the way up. So I bit into this thing that I thought might have been a noodle or a piece of meat, and it was a compressed ball of like salt, seasoning,
It was like dust.
dust. Yeah, it was like my mouth just went, where's the water immediately?
Yeah, like a dirt clod.
Yeah. I don't know. So I think we may be having these or Mountain House on the first ride trip. I know that one of the sponsors just came through, which I'm going to plug right now, is Kate's Real Food. Is sponsoring the trip with their meal bars, like a fruit protein type bar. So that should be good to have, for snacks and in between meals, maybe even breakfast.
Yeah.
The rally was a lot of fun. The ride home was great. I rode home off, back roads. I did a little bit of off-road riding when I was there. The trail attacks just do not work in the sand. Thank God it was wet in some areas, because it kind of stayed packed a little bit. I just kind of sat on the bike and let the front end float underneath me going through the stuff, but a lot of people on the bigger bikes were wiping out.
What did you have on the Stelvio?
Um, uh, I've tried 3 different tires on there, but the tires that I had in sand on the Stelvio were Pirelli Scorpions off-road.
Okay.
I had the Continentals on there for a while too. And then the last tire that I had was strictly a road tire. It was the Michelin PR Force, the street.
Yeah, the Pilot Road
Yeah,
for.
the Pilot Road. And they call it a trail Pilot Road, but only because of the size of the tire, not
Yeah.
for any other reason. There's a compound change though between the street and the trail also. I forgot what it was, but the compound's a little bit different. I think I'm gonna try a set of Heidenau K60s
Oh yeah.
the next go around. Yeah. Everyone that has them says they last a long time and they're good. So we'll see how they are. If I
Aren't
go,
those the ones that people talk about getting wet and then be like they're really slick?
yeah, those are the high nows. I'll just be careful. And with the ABS and the cornering ABS, maybe that'll keep me out of trouble.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah. It's either going to be TKC 80s, but I can't commute with the TKC 80s. They'll be gone in no time.
Yeah, those are so like they're great dirt tires, but they're so
They're not
like
going to last
they're
long.
not gonna last. Yeah, they're so soft, I guess is
Yeah.
the word I'm like looking for.
If I had another set of rims, I might do that, but that's a pretty big investment. If I go to this, if I take the same bike to the CADS rally next year, I'll put them on just for the rally.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the trip up there was a couple 100 miles, and I'll just go easy going up and back. But it was a lot of fun.
Good.
So what else was I going to talk about? Oh, so when I went up there, I had the Rever app running the whole time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's a cool challenge going on right now with Rever, and it's called America's. Can you look it up?
Next top model.
America's next top model challenge, right?
One of you will be out.
So the last two. So for those of you who don't know, we talk about Rever a lot. There was an app that came out, I think last year at AIM Expo called Riding Social, and it was through Butler Maps. The guys who do Butler Maps had developed this, and it was an app for social riding, basically. And then they changed the name to Rever, and it's Rever. And what Rever does is pretty cool. Is it'll track your rides for you. It'll produce. You can go online on the dashboard. You have an online account, and the account's free for the basic application on Rever. You can create rides on there, sort of like Garmin's Basecamp, and you can export these rides out as GPX files. So you can export them into a GPS, or they're on your phone, so you can just kind of ride them on your phone. Now, the app currently doesn't support turn-by-turn directions. Currently, I don't know if they're going to be moving toward that or not, but you can see the route, so you can easily follow it. The other cool thing about it is they have challenges that are sponsored by some of the larger companies. And the last three I did, one was sponsored by Scorpion, the other one was by Twisted Throttle. The Twisted Throttle challenge, all you had to do was log 500 miles in a given time period, and they entered into a drawing for a set of Denali lights. And then, so the Scorpion challenge was basically whoever got first place logged the most miles. I think they won a Scorpion jacket, and then second place got a helmet, and third place got something else. And then if you logged a certain number of miles, everyone was registered in a drawing to win a set of gloves. The current challenge is called Crash.
What?
You have that current one up on screen by any chance?
The current challenge?
Yeah.
I could get it. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I just couldn't find it. Hold on. This one is a year-long challenge.
I'm trying to I was distracted trying to find the location for San Diego's Mods versus Rockers.
Okay, I got it coming up right now. I got this Rever coming up. So it is. This one's a year-long challenge, and so you still have time to get in. And when you sign up for Rever, there's an option to get a pro account, which is 100% worth it. The pro account gives you access to every map that Butler makes in the application.
I've heard a couple people scoff at the pro account because it's it's a paid account. I think it's a monthly fee.
It's annual. You can pay one time a year.
Or is it annual? Okay, cool. Anyway, so I think a lot of people aren't realizing. Yeah, I mean, especially like Rever's always expanding. I mean, Butler's always expanding what they've got as far as maps go. But like, I've got a lot of Butler's maps, and it's so much nicer to just bust out the app, open it up, and go, okay, what roads near me are like the best roads? Especially if you don't know an area, if you're going to be going to an area you're not really familiar with, it's so nice.
That's the reason why I got the pro account, because, and now that they've been adding roads in the Carolinas and they're going to keep expanding, to me, it's worth it.
Yeah.
But anyway, you don't have to have that. You can just use the app the way it is. And then if you just are going to be in one area, buy one of the Butler maps. The Butler maps are cool because the roads are rated. So they'll tell you which roads are dirt, and they'll rate them good, better, best on the roads. The current challenge that's going on right now is America's Ultimate Long Distance Rider Challenge. Started January 1st, ends December 31st. So there's a lot of time in this. And they're showing right now, 16 days into January, 35,400 total miles ridden, 608 total rides with everybody that's in the challenge. And I am sitting at number 4 right now.
Wow, nice. So is it whoever, like, so when you enter the challenge, do you have to win the challenge? Is that like or is it just like
No, it depends
elite?
on the challenge. Like it was for the Twisted Throttle challenge, you just had to log 500 miles and you got entered into a drawing.
Okay.
This one they're not saying yet. It says prizes. It's just like basically stay tuned. It doesn't really tell you what they're gonna. It's a year long, so they may add stuff as it goes. You never know. It might be the top 10 people, and it's something this long for this large. Who knows what it is?
Yeah, I was just curious.
Yeah, it's just kind of fun, and the cool thing about the Rever app as well is that if you're riding with a group of people and they all have the app on, you can see where their location is on your app.
Yeah.
It tracks everybody, which is really neat. Anyway, so that's what we got. And if you're on there and you join it, friend me. Look for Steven Grasso. And
Yeah, you can friend me too.
Yeah.
I'm in there.
Christopher Ashmore, Steven Grasso.
Yeah.
Some of the other podcasters, I think James is on there. I've seen a few others, so it's kind of neat. And let's see what else. Africa Twin. Have you seen one yet?
No.
Neither have I. Been looking. What's the actual release date for this thing? Do we know where it's going to be available in stores?
That's a good question.
I thought it was supposed to be now. I still want to try to get a ride on one too. I'm hoping.
Have we even heard the price of it yet?
Yeah, the prices are published. They're not bad.
Why do I feel like I don't know what they are?
That's around $13,000.
Really?
Yeah, but that's what without the DCT or the ABS, I think. Without bags either, right around 13,000.
Okay.
The prices have been out. I'm hoping that they have it available at Bike Week in Daytona in March. Then I'll just go up there for that, just to do a demo ride. If there's one going to be, they're going to have them.
I like the way the cockpit looks. The gauges and everything.
It definitely looks like, it's a small. It looks lighter and thinner. It's still 500 and something pounds, but it does look svelte.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know how. And I've said this about the horsepower because it's got 100 horsepower, and I thought that was kind of. But off road, that's fine. So if you're primarily going to use that, and it's plenty, more than plenty. If you're primarily going to use that bike, for like an adventure travel off road bike, that's great. I don't know what the torque's like.
I don't know.
I guess I compare everything based on what I'm going to use it for, and I do so much commuting that having the bigger motor with a lot of horsepower is more fun for me.
Yeah, that would be the Africa Twin. It appears like it would be a great bike for what I would want to do.
Even I've seen them with bags on them. Some of the pictures of them, they look good.
Yeah, I think it's a really pretty bike. I think that in a market where ugly is kind of like the standard, I think it actually looks really good.
That's so subjective, though.
Oh, I know it is, but I feel like
I personally like Wally. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I feel like like certain brands are like trying for like a more out there appearance, and I think this one looks kind of. It looks kind of conservative. I really like in terms of its styling. I don't feel like it's super like out there.
It sort of looks like the Dakar rally bike, which I kind of like. I don't know. I was a little bit disappointed when the first pictures kind of came out. I thought I like that big look, so I'm like a fan of the GS Adventure, obviously the Super Adventure that I have, and then the Enduro for the Ducati. But it is really kind of such a personal and subjective thing when you talk about ugly motorcycles. I think there are people that think that all ADV bikes are ugly to begin with.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with cafe bikes. There's some cafe bikes that I think are the coolest things in the world, and then there's the other ones where there's a certain design thing with cafe bikes where they're chopping the whole rear end off. That's just not my cup of tea.
Yeah.
So actually, yeah, 12,999 for the base model and 13,699 for the DCT version.
Oh, okay.
That's a great price.
Yeah, that's really good, actually.
Less than
That's way better than
14,
I thought.
yeah, less than $14,000 for the DCT.
Yeah.
The, the DCT version, I would have to really, because I rode the NCX 700 with that, or NC 700X, and I hated it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really, to me, it hamstrung the bike. It was anemic. It just like, you were in fifth gear at 35 miles an hour, you know?
Yeah, I'm not so much interested in the DCT, but I mean, if the one on the Africa Twin is way better, um, I'd I'd probably just leave it in manual mode all the time and just, you know, shift with my little paddle shifters.
The paddle shifters were kind of cool. I like that, and you could get used to that. That was pretty neat. Not having a clutch was pretty neat too. It took me a little bit of time to get used to that. As long as you're not going to lose any other, like if this bike comes with ABS, as long as you can get the ABS without having the DCT.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can on the Africa Twin. um, the other day, like so, my truck is a stick, and Jess's car is not. And I was driving her car to work all last week when I wasn't riding because it gets better gas mileage. And coming up to a stoplight, I like stomped on the floorboard really hard with my left foot because I was looking for a clutch.
That's how many times I would go look for a shifter. When
I a long time ago, it's like I was driving my dad's car, a little Honda Civic, and it was a manual. I mean, sorry, it was an automatic, and the vehicle I had been driving was a manual, and I stomped on the brake with my left foot by accident. I thought my eyeballs were going to come flying out of my head, like that car stopped so fast.
I've done that. I can do that. Yeah.
It was awful. Like just suddenly like push the brake pedal to the floor as fast as you can. At like you're going like 15 miles an hour.
So, then the other thing they've got, Ducati came out with, speaking still about big adventure bikes, Ducati's coming out with a web series on YouTube. The first one has already been published, showing the off-road capabilities of the Enduro, the Multistrato Enduro, which is so much like the 1290 Super Adventure. It's scary.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Same. I think Bosch makes the ABS in there. It has the same cornering ABS that the KTM has. The big tank in the front. The same wheel sizes. And there's obviously the guys that are riding it are professional riders. And they are flogging this bike in this video. I mean, just flogging it. And there's, one of the criticisms I had heard, I don't know how real it is, but they were saying for the Africa Twin videos, you never see the guys actually landing the bike. Like it was completely bottoming out in the suspension. But this is different. This, you see it. And they've actually interviewed some of the guys. I think the guys are Italian that were riding it. And they were talking about how well the suspension on the Ducati works. They're jumping it and stuff. It's pretty wild. So, you really have to, that's all relative to the rider as well too. There's no possible way with my current level of experience and training on these bikes that I'm going to be able to make it do what these guys did, but the capability's there. So now that doesn't mean that how well the bike's going to hold up afterwards either, but the videos are kind of neat. I'll post a link for them in the show notes. I'm going to have that. I'm going to have the CADS link in there. Ducati Enduro. Somebody told me, let's just talk real quick about show notes, because I had a friend tell me, oh, I never look at those. I'm like, why? And he says, well, anytime I listen to a podcast and they say they're going to post in the show notes, you go to the show notes and there's nothing there.
Yeah, that happens a lot.
Right. So I try really hard to remember what I said I was going to post, and now I'm making myself notes, so I am going to put them up. But how it works with show notes on iTunes, just so you know, obviously you can go to our website and look at the posting for the show, and whatever we have written in there will have hot links to the whatever we talk about. So if I talk about the Ducati Enduro video, it'll be a hot link on there. You just click on that and it'll take you to the YouTube page. How it works on iTunes when you're using an iPhone, which is kind of cool, is when you're listening to the podcast in iTunes, especially the new music app in iTunes, and you click on the bottom where you see the status bar, it'll bring up the page for the show, and it'll show our logo on there. If you click on the logo, it actually brings up the show notes for the show, the same exact ones that are on our web page with hot links. So you can be on your phone or your iPad, whatever mobile device you're using, listening to our show, click on the picture of the show and you'll see the show notes and they're hot linked and you can go right there and look at the stuff we're talking about online. So that's how it works. And I apologize if in the past we've said we're going to put something out and we didn't. And if I do that in the future, just shoot me an email or put a post on Facebook and say, "Hey, idiot, you said you were going to put this on, you didn't." But
yeah, I'm almost 100% sure I'm guilty of doing that exact same thing. And so
the only place we don't have them, and I could start putting them on there, is on the YouTube page for the audio, for the video. But there's not that many people that actually watch the video, so it's more on the audio that I care about, that they're seeing it. But anyway, that's how the show notes work. So, what else was I going to talk about? Let's talk about
a few events coming up in our respective areas.
Talk about mods versus rockers.
Yeah, so San Diego's got apparently the longest continuously running mods versus rockers event in the country. This year it's going to be the weekend of January 29th. So I haven't been to one in San Diego before, so I couldn't really speak to what it's like, but it's 3 days long, and that's more than like anywhere else I've seen or that I've been to. I've never been to one that's like a whole weekend.
That's a lot. What happens in 3 days?
I don't know. I mean, the one that I went to up in Seattle a couple times, it was like a whole day, and they did all kinds of little events. Like they did slow races where like everybody lines up and tries to get from one spot to another spot as slow as you possibly can without putting a foot down.
Yeah, I've done that one time.
They did kickstart contests, like people would bring their you had to have a vintage bike. It couldn't be like a new bike, but you had to bring up like your bucket of bolts vintage bike and see how many times consecutively you could get it to kickstart without any like hiccups.
That's kind of cool.
There was this one guy, I remember, he was like this big burly guy, had this little Vespa scooter and came up, and I mean it was like 20 times in a row, just tapped his foot on the kickstart and it would start. Like that thing was running really well. And everybody else was just like, okay, I give up. I can't even come close to that. But then there was another guy on like a 50cc or less moped that like you actually pedal, and if you pedal against it, it would resist the engine. He was like, we really thought he was going to win the slow race because he was able to like use his feet to like help keep the bike slow,
balanced. Yeah.
And then like right at the last second, like everybody's kind of like holding their breath as this guy's it's him. He's not even halfway to the finish line yet, and this other guy who's right at the finish line just trying to hold it. And the guy who everybody thought was going to win like started to tip over and put his foot down.
So the exact same weekend, all across directly on the other side of the country in Florida, is the Dania Beach Vintage Motorcycle Festival. So we will be at the same. You know what we should do is a Periscope live. We'll try to do a live Periscope thing. I don't know if we can both be on there at the same time, but we'll do one. And then like I'll start one, finish, and you can start one.
Okay, yeah, we'll figure that out.
Because that'll be kind of cool. You're going to be there. I'm going to be at the Dania Beach one. The Dania Beach one's only one day though. It's the 30th, which I believe is Saturday, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because the 31st is Sunday.
I don't know whether I'll be able to go to all of it or none of it. Or I'm going to try to go. I'm sure I won't be there all 3 days.
No, if you can go one day,
too much.
Great, yeah. I'm gonna go for at least part of the Dania Beach show. It's always a good time. They do kind of the same thing there. They have the slow races and a couple other events, but it's a pretty cool rally. It's a one-day thing, and you get people from all over the U.S. that come to that. Funny thing about it is Billy Joel usually shows up too.
Oh yeah,
yeah, he'll come to that rally, and a couple times he's actually like played with the band, which was kind of wild. But that's the same weekend, and then 2 weeks after that, February 13th, the day before Valentine's Day, is the Iron and Clematis Festival in downtown West Palm Beach. It will be the third year for this. Last year they had 8,000 people.
Nice.
So Yeah, this is a big event. They'll probably have between 200 and 300 motorcycles registered in the show. They all have to be vintage bikes. Here's the interesting thing that I didn't realize until I looked at the Dania Beach flyer. Dania Beach requires the bike to be 35 years or older.
Huh.
The Vintage Iron Club is 25 years or older.
Yeah, 35.
Yeah,
That's
35.
1981.
I think
Or
81.
yeah.
Yeah, the year I graduated from high school. The year I started in the fire department, 1981. They they usually every year for Dania they have a featured bike. I don't see what it is for this year. The first year when I went, it was Cafe Racers. Last year it was Sportsters. So I didn't see what it was this year, but as soon as we find that out. But I'm going to also post the information for all of those for the Mods versus Rockers in San Diego, the Dania Beach one, and then one on Clematis Street. So if you're in
Yeah.
the area, any of those. And I always say too, if you have something local going on, even if it's just for your local club, send us the information. We'll post it up on the website, put it on
Yeah.
Facebook. Yeah.
If it's in San Diego, definitely, because I don't see any of that stuff because I'm lazy. I'm gonna get better at trying to
You
figure out
got to
what's
get
going on
out,
when. I
man.
know.
You know, we started this whole thing with me bitching about Florida, and
And then you found all this stuff, and I moved to San Diego, and I'm like, yep, I'm in a really big town. There's probably a lot going on every weekend, and
San
I knew
Diego's the
none of it.
hipster hub, for God's sake. Well, you came from the
No,
hipster hub,
it's not Portland
right?
or Seattle or San Francisco or LA.
You're right.
We're like number 5.
A little,
Really,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, really quick. I'm gonna pull up an email. You mentioned Sportsters. I got an email from a listener. So, if you want to talk about whatever you want to talk about, I'll pull the email up so I can talk
I'll
about
talk
it.
about an email I got from Chris Shockley. Chris sent me an email. We were talking about selling bikes with aftermarket parts on them and taking them off to sell them, and he was kind of got a dilemma with a BMW that he's got with one of the 1100 Rocksters, which I've heard they have horrible ABS on them. And his dilemma was take the ABS off, the servo off, and ride the bike and enjoy it, but he's worried about selling it. And I kind of thought, and I don't know that much about that particular bike, but if you take it off, can't you put it back on? So if you take it off and you ride it and you keep the bike and you like it, then you're great. But when you get ready to sell it, just put the ABS back on it. I could see where something that came from the factory that was not on the bike would make it difficult to sell. But aftermarket parts, they're so, subjective, and what user likes this and doesn't like it. And the funny thing is there's a lot of bikes I've looked at in the past that had a ton of aftermarket stuff on it that I thought I would end up selling just because I didn't like it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you got, you want to shoot an email, and if you know anything about that bike or you have an opinion about that to help Chris out, send an email in for us and we'll pass it on to him. I kind of gave him my 2 cents, and he thought he was kind of thinking, he likes the bike a lot. He likes the way it looks. It's a cool looking bike. I think they're neat. I actually rode one recently, an anniversary edition Rockster, but apparently the brakes are really crappy with the ABS on them.
So the email I got was from Ken Bolton, and he's got a 94 Sportster 883, and he's done some, kind of cafe styled it out, and I'll send you the picture so you have it, so you can like put it in the show notes as well. It's a cool teal color, and the seat's like white and teal. The seat kind of looks like it belongs on like a convertible in Miami from like the 1970s. It's got like a teal and white leather. But yeah, it's a cool bike. He was just, he heard that we mentioned, or he's heard us talk about Sportsters being cool bikes for that sort of thing, and so he sent us a picture of his. So thanks, Ken.
Yeah, we'll put it up on the Facebook page.
Yeah. Another email, or a series of emails, from Chris Shockley. Chris is a web designer, and so just to let everybody know, our site, after the show goes up, our site's going to be basically static for a few weeks while Chris builds a new one for us, and then we'll have the new logo and the new color scheme and all that sort of thing going.
Really happy about that and excited. We've got the new logo. The new logo looks really cool. I like it a lot. And, the logo kind of points to our love of both cafe and adventure bikes. So
Yeah, definitely.
kind of neat. That's why, I've always talked about being a big fan of scramblers, and any bike that somebody's taken to make it more usable off-road, I like a lot. And so that's coming and that's happening. And the other thing I was going to talk about, which I found, which was kind of neat, I found a magazine, an online magazine out of the UK that's published by, I believe, Simon Pavey. You know who that is?
No.
He's the guy that did, if you watch the movie Long Way Around, he's the guy that trained Ewan and Charlie off-road.
Oh, okay, yeah.
He's got an off-road school, and I think his name is Llewellyn Pavey,
Mm-hmm.
he also races, but the magazine's called Break. Let me find it. Actually, what I really like about it is there's a lot of coverage of off-road racing, like rally racing and like Dakar, which, by the way, I'm so remiss because I haven't been following it this year, and I think it's over this weekend.
I
But
knew that it was going on. That was about
yeah,
it.
I'll put this link in www.break-magazine.com. And it's a British magazine, so everything's kind of related to stuff that they have available there. But there's a lot of good bike reviews and kit reviews. But the stories on there they're really kind of cool. Like there's a story on how to read a Dakar road book, which I thought was
Oh, cool.
super interesting because I've never seen that before. But I'll put a link to Break Magazine in the show notes as well.
So they spell color with a U and favorite with a U, but you'll
So
have to
don't
get
be
used to
sending
it.
them. Yeah, don't send them emails. Tell them they don't know how to spell. That's perfectly acceptable. On the other side of the pond.
And they say advertisement, not advertisement, but
Aluminium instead of
yeah.
aluminum. Right. Right. Bloody's a really, really bad word over there. Say it on the air here. It's not a big deal, but in the UK, it's a bad word.
Fanny's a good one though. Fanny's fun.
Doesn't mean what it means here, though. So
No. For us in the United States, we call a fanny pack a thing that like a little bag that hangs on your
right.
butt. Uh, they use
That's not what it
fanny
means.
describes a different part of a woman's anatomy
Right.
in England.
Right. So, like, one of the cool things I just found on there is inside a Dakar bike cockpit, and they've got all these different arrows pointing to the road book holders and the trip meters and all that, and it's pretty neat. So,
Yeah, I'll have to check that out. That sounds cool.
yeah, I just found it the other day, like cruising around looking at some stuff, and I'm like, wow, this is neat. Break Magazine. Let's talk about First Ride Up the Divide.
Okay.
So, for those of you who haven't been listening to us or you don't follow, and you should follow thegeardude.com, our buddy Spencer Hill. Spencer cooked up this trip that is going to be riding from the Continental Divide, from the Mexican border to the Canadian border, and he's taking two guys with him that have never ridden motorcycles before. And so we kind of talked about on the last show, I'm going to be going with these guys, and one of the sponsors is Cena Bluetooth, and Cena sent Spencer 6 Prism cameras, and one of them came to me. So I had a chance to try this thing out at the Polar Bear Rally, and actually, Crash and I have looked at these at AIM and played around with them, but this was the first time I actually got to use one. I got to tell you how cool this thing is. Now, if you've got any experience with a GoPro, it's similar, but the form is different. So where a GoPro's got a lens in the front and it's kind of flat, this thing, it'd be like putting the lens on the side of a GoPro. So it's kind of long, but it works really well on the side of a helmet. And they've got a really cool helmet mount for it that's a swivel mount. It swivels in all these different directions. So it clamps onto the helmet the same way their Bluetooth communicators does. And then it's got a swivel on the side. The really neat thing about this is it'll link via Bluetooth to your 10 or your 20, and you can actually narrate while the video is going. Not only that, you can control the camera from your Bluetooth headset. So you can start, stop it, put it in sleep mode, do all these things right from the headset. So I got one in the box. And here's the other really neat thing about it. When you buy a GoPro, this is like the saying about GoPro. You don't just buy a GoPro. You got to buy all the mounts.
Oh yeah, a GoPro's like the start, and then you're like, okay, now how am I going to use it with anything? And there's thousands of different options.
I think when you buy a GoPro, the only thing you get in the package is the flat and curve mount, right?
I think it depends. I don't know what they're doing now. When I bought mine, they had different kits for. They had a motorsports edition that came with the suction cup, flat and a few flat and curved mounts, and then a couple other things. So, and then they had like a surfing one that came with a surfboard mount and then flat and curve mount. You know, they kind of had some
Yeah.
specific kits.
I think right now the only thing they're offering is a musician's kit that's like a mic stand mount, maybe. And
Huh.
that's with the newer camera that they have, the little black one. I forgot what it's called.
That's gonna bug me, but keep
So,
going.
yeah. So anyway, when you buy a Cena Prism, you get everything in the box. Retail price on a Prism is $249.
That's not bad at all.
That's unbelievable. The only, it's not a 4K or a 5K camera. It's a 1080p. It's got different resolution settings on there. It's got two different view formats, for your angle of view settings on it. The Bluetooth settings. There's no Wi-Fi in it. So this is the difference between a GoPro and the Prism.
Mm-hmm.
Where a GoPro has a Wi-Fi setting to use with the app, so you can actually see what the camera's filming. The Prism is Bluetooth only, but I got to tell you, if you're running that Wi-Fi on the GoPro, it'll kill it quick.
Oh yeah, your battery is just gone immediately.
Yeah. So really, what you use that for is set up your shot with the phone and then shut the Wi-Fi off and make sure you get it off all the way. Because if it's running, it'll kill the camera pretty quick. So the Prism, I took it out of the box. It comes with a waterproof case that I think is good for like 150 feet. They told me on the phone that the camera itself is good for 30 feet. I question that.
Yeah.
I don't believe that. It might be a meter, 3 feet. Because I think like the IPX7 standard is 1 meter. I can't imagine this thing's good for like 10 meters, 30 feet. Um, I wouldn't want to test it, but you get a really nice waterproof case for it anyway if you need it. It comes with flat curve mounts. It comes with the helmet clamp mount. It comes with single and dual suction cup mounts. So you can use a single suction cup or use dual suction cups, and it comes with a handlebar mount as well. Really cool. And it also comes with some mounts that look similar to GoPro mounts, but I've tried to swap them back and forth and it doesn't seem to work. But it's the same kind of clip foot type of mount. They
Right.
also have their own proprietary little like hot shoe type mount that slides in and out with a safety wire that you can safety wire the thing to whatever you're using. It's easy to set up, pretty intuitive. You can run through the menus pretty quick on it. And they give you a quick start card in the package so you know what you're doing pretty fast. So I set the thing up pretty good. I shot some video Saturday, but here's the mistake I made. The helmet connection is plastic on plastic mounted in a metal clamp. Now, anytime you're working with plastic, everyone always tells you don't go too tight or it'll crack, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I mounted the camera onto the thing. There's like a little swivel piece. I screwed it in there and got it pretty tight, but I didn't get it tight enough. So what happened was the wind from the bike moved the camera progressively during the filming. So although you can listen to the audio and you can see some of the original video, the rest of the video is kind of treetop. And I don't think I had the battery charge long enough, so I didn't get enough time out of it. But if you're interested in seeing that video, and just particularly you're going to be listening to the audio quality, shoot me an email and I'll send you a link to it on YouTube. I've got it on YouTube, but it's on a private setting only because it doesn't really do the camera justice for a couple of reasons. One, the fact that it moved on the mount, and two was it was a really, really overcast, rainy, dreary day. So it just looks crappy from that day.
Yeah.
Now, the other cool thing is the video opens directly in GoPro Studio. So this particular video that I published was done in GoPro Studio, which is nice.
Yeah.
You don't have to convert it. You don't have to, GoPro Studio is pretty easy to use. It's free. You can add audio. You can edit. There's a lot of decent settings on there for exposure and things like that. So that's another plus on this camera. But
doesn't GoPro Studio just open like any MP4 or whatever?
I had a hard time. It wouldn't open anything from my Olympus camera for some reason.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
I don't know why.
Interesting. I wonder if it would open like the show video that we're recording now.
I'll give it a shot and try it. It's an MP4. I should try that.
Yeah. I don't know what good it would do us. I'm just curious.
Well, there's been times when I've actually edited some of the video where we have like a long exit, you know.
Yeah.
You can do that in YouTube, but
Yeah.
you know the stuff we've shot with the zoom camera and the my Olympus and things like that, I you know, as soon as I get a new computer that's got a decent amount of memory, I'm gonna start running things on Final Cut for editing. Because the problem with my computer is now the MacBook that I have, it's like early 2008 version. It's not a Core 2 Duo, so you can't upgrade it any more than it's already been upgraded, and it'll tend to cough once in a while.
Mm.
You know, it's maxed out on memory. I've got like 3 terabytes of extra drive space attached to it and a 25-inch monitor, but it's just not the processor's not there anymore. None of the newer versions of I can't even use the newer versions of iMovie on it. I think the latest iMovie that'll work on it's iMovie 9. So it's pretty limited. And with all this technology that we're using when we do stuff and go places, especially for the first Right Up the Divide trip where I'm going to be doing a lot of the primary video work, somebody else is going to be editing that, not me.
Yeah.
Just because I want it done professionally. But anyway, the sponsorship is coming along really nice for that. We've got Spencer's got, like I said, Kate's Real Food, Moscow Moto, Cena Bluetooth, and there's one more. I'll tell you in a second who it is. Oh, Butler Maps is sponsoring us as well.
Cool.
So it's going to be neat. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a fun time. I'm there's a little bit of trepidation there when it comes to riding that big, 600-pound plus motorcycle when it's got all the gear on it off road.
It'll be a learning experience for sure.
Yeah, the maps, the route we're using, there's a lot of runoff area too, where there's options. There's 3 options in some of the areas, and
Yeah.
because I'm going to be doing a lot of the filming, I think that there'll be times when I'm going to be leaving the group to go into town and mail cards back, and charge batteries and things like that, and then meet them back at another location. So I may miss some of the more challenging parts of it just because the duties I'm going to have and the size of the bike I'm going to be riding.
Sure.
But we'll see. Something else I saw the other day, which I thought was really cool, it's not really motorcycle related, but it kind of is. It's photography related. Have you seen this Lily drone?
Is that the one that follows you around?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that not the coolest thing in the world?
Yes. Yeah. It's the one that you can like hold out your hand, it'll land in the palm of your hand.
Yeah, you just throw it in the air and it takes off on its own. There's absolutely no controls on this thing other than an on and off switch.
Yeah.
You turn it on. When you turn the drone on, it turns the tracker on. So there's no on-off switch on the tracker.
Yeah.
So as long as you've got the tracker, and from the tracker, you can switch the mode, whether it's single, like taking single shots or slow motion, or it's following behind you, above you, to the side of you, or in front of you.
Right.
I'll switch it. There's one thing in there where a guy's kayaking and he throws the thing in the water.
Mm-hmm.
And it's floating on the water, and all of a sudden the props spin up and it takes off and it starts following them.
Yeah. I don't know how heavy the Lily drone is, but not motorcycle related. With the FAA's new rules about drone pilot registration, if you have a drone that's above a certain weight, you have to register as a drone pilot.
Mm-hmm.
It's not hard. It's literally just like putting your name in and they give you a number.
It's like $5 too, right?
Yeah, I think it's like $5. So you give them $5, they give you a number, and then that number has to be on all your drones. So you're not registering your drones, you're just registering yourself,
Mm-hmm.
so that when your drone screws something up, they can track you down and you'll be responsible. But I don't know if the Lily's probably heavy enough that you'd need to register it.
Here's the only thing about the Lily is it'll never go more than a certain number of feet away from you.
Right.
And if it breaks contact with you, it'll just sit there and hover at like 10 feet off the ground until the battery runs out, and then it'll slowly land. So it's not like it can fly away or I think the height's limited to 50 feet. There's 2 things that are a negative on it when it comes to motorcycling. One is it's got a speed of 25 miles an hour.
Yeah, it's not really going to keep up.
No. And the other, there's no obstacle avoidance. So if you're running through the woods, there's a good possibility the thing's going to whack a tree, you know,
Yeah.
unless you have a clear lane, a clear shot, you know, kind of the way they showed it in the ads were like snowboarding, kayaking, um, just walking around, like hiking, you know.
Yeah.
But,
It's definitely cool, and it's definitely a really cool step in the right direction. Like, I would love to have something like that that could keep up with me on the bike. Like, that
yeah.
would be so
Can you imagine
cool.
like instead of really cool twisties or off road? You know, that would be really neat.
Yeah.
We were talking about contacting them and seeing if they want to send us a demo one for the trip, but with that, the limitation of 25 miles an hour, it would be limited to like some single track stuff. But then again, if there's a bunch of trees, forget it.
Right.
It's got 2 follow settings too, where it'll either follow like, I forgot. I think the lowest setting is 5 feet and the highest is 50. And then there's 2 settings of how far away from you it'll follow. These are all programmable through an app on the phone.
Yeah.
But that's kind of cool. Just turn it on, throw it in the air.
Yeah. I think there's another drone that does that too.
There's another
Um,
cool thing I found photography related that I actually got in on the Kickstarter on it. It's not necessarily, you know, where it has a motorcycle application for this is when you're traveling with this is kind of neat. It's called the NAR box. It's spelled GNARBOX. And what this is it's like an external hard drive that you can put your card in, your media card from your camera, or
mhm.
hook your phone to it. It'll allow you to download the video or the film to the box, but then there's an app on your phone that allows you to edit it right from the box.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So you can edit, add music, do cuts, whatever you need to do right from your phone or your iPad, and then use that for social media. So if you're on a trip, you don't need to have a whole laptop and download all this stuff. You could have a camera, this NAR box, and your phone, and have your even from a GoPro as well. So you can just take the chip out of the GoPro, throw it in the NAR box, edit your video real quick, and send it out. So I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I like that.
So I got on the Kickstarter on that, and they're supposed to start shipping in March on those. They were pretty inexpensive. Like I think I paid like 169 bucks on the Kickstarter for it. But anyway, that's what we got going.
Yeah.
We're still running the discount code for Moscow Moto. If you're interested, Cafe Moscow, one word, CAFEMOSKO at checkout will get you free shipping. Moscow Moto's got a bunch of new stuff coming out this year. They've redone their Reckless 80 and 40, which ought to be pretty cool. So I feel like we've been talking about gear a lot today and
Yeah, I think so.
about bikes.
Um, yeah, so I guess yeah, go use that coupon code. Um, go to Dania Beach or San Diego or your own local thing, and if you have a local thing, let us know what it is. And a shout out to Chris Shockley, who's going to do our website, and to Shawn Wallace at Evolutionary Studios, who did our logo. And we wouldn't have such a cool looking logo without him.
Shawn Wallace has got some really cool T-shirts too, which I'm going to probably be rocking a couple of them soon. They're pretty
Yeah,
some neat
the
artwork.
the Cafe Danger one.
Yeah, those are neat.
Yeah. He also has a store on Etsy where he sells like line drawing prints of cafe racers and other motorcycles. I've got one um, on my wall.
We'll post the links for Shawn, so I'm making a note of that right now. Shawn Wallace links for Cafe Danger and for his
He's
Etsy.
a sport touring bike rider and a Motorcycle Safety Foundation um, instructor.
Yeah, Shawn's a
So
cool guy, and he's like I
yeah,
said, the logo that we've got is really neat, and that's a big shout out to Shawn for that. We'll get that posted. There was one more thing I was going to talk about too. Check out MSTA, Motorcycle Sport Touring Association, as well. Just we've had some really great rides here in South Florida with them, and a couple people had sent me emails like, "Hey, you know, you talked about that on the show, but there's not one in my area." Well, I kind of said something to Jim Park about that, and he's like, "There doesn't need to be one. Just raise your hand and say you're going to be the area director, and they'll start you off." So you can start an MSTA club in your own location if you're just willing to be the area director for the time period. You know, you don't have to do it for the rest of your life, but just get the club going. And they have their annual rally in June. I'll post the dates for that. It's in Vermont. Guess who's going to be doing their rally, like their master of ceremonies and host?
um, Billy Joel.
No, our own buddy Alonzo Bowden.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
He's
Alonzo.
probably funnier than Billy Joel.
Yeah, he's going to be doing MSTA, which will be really neat.
That's cool. I like Alonzo a lot.
Yeah, I want to have him back on before he starts his tour. He's going to be doing a tour of the East Coast of the U.S. He's planning on being in Naples here in Florida, but I think I'm going to be out of town when he's going to be here. I will be presenting at a conference in Vegas. So if you're going to be at the NFPA conference in Las Vegas, I'll be presenting.
Nice.
Yeah. All right. That's all I got, man.
Me too. Get out there and ride.
See you guys.